She said it's cold outside and she hands me my raincoat.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 1.13 of You're Off the Case, the Ottawa Hockey Podcast. I'm Clayton Johns alongside Jamie Shinkuski as we try to cover the past week of hockey here in the nation's capital. And Jamie will kick things off this week once again with the Ottawa Senators.
The team that most experts picked to finish last have clinched a playoff spot. In the 3 games in the past week, the Senators have gone 2 wins and 1 loss, starting last Saturday, March 31st in Philadelphia with a 4-3 victory in a shootout. The Sens jumped out to a 3-1 lead after the first period with goals from Jason Spezza, Daniel Alfredson, and Chris Neal, but they blew that lead in the second period. The teams were 3-3 going into the second intermission. The third period, OT solved nothing, so we went to the circus, and in the shootout, Ottawa 2-for-2, Mahalik and Spezza both scoring, Philly 1-for-3, Matt Reed with the only goal, Giroux and Briere both missing, Craig Anderson made 36 saves in the victory, and Sergei Bobrovsky was off the case in the loss. Sunday, April 1st, they were in Long Island taking on the Islanders in a 5-1 victory. Mark Streit opened the scoring, but the Sens scored 5 unanswered goals. Kyle Turris with 2 goals and 2 assists, and Milan Michalek with a goal and 2 assists led the charge for the Sens. Erik Karlsson and Nick Foligno had the other markers, and Anderson made 29 saves for another victory. Tuesday, April 3rd, they were at home taking on the Carolina Hurricanes in a 2-1 loss. 2 second-period goals by the Canes basically erased all hopes of a perfect season for the Sens. Jason Spezza scored with 13 seconds left, but it was too little too late. Ottawa outshot Carolina 39-31, but could not find the back of the net. Now, the last 2 games of the season are coming up. Thursday, at home against the Boston Bruins in what appears to be a first-round matchup preview, and Saturday they're in New Jersey taking on the Devils. The Sens are still in 7th place, 4 points up on Washington and Buffalo. The Sens cannot catch anyone, and they can clinch that 7th place with 1 single point. Now moving along to the rest of the NHL, another potential first-round matchup between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia got a little heated at the end of the game after a hit on Danny Briere. Now Clayton, if this kind of emotion carries through into the playoffs, what kind of series are we going to see between these 2 teams?
Pittsburgh and Philadelphia already hate each other, Jamie, to begin with, and so this Daniel Briere incident, which was a clean hit in the middle of the ice, certainly elevated the tension between the 2 teams. Peter Laviolette did not like what he saw from Dan Bylsma putting his 4th line out on the ice with 2 minutes to go, which not too sure I understand at all. How is one team not supposed to put their 4th line out there, especially in a loss where they were maybe trying to get some energy going in the last few minutes of the game? So I'm not really sure what the point there with Peter Laviolette is, but certainly a lot of emotion between those 2 teams, and it's going to be a very intense playoff series in the first round.
Yes, very true. And speaking of the playoffs, Washington forward Brooks Laich has guaranteed the playoff entry. We will make the playoffs, he announced on radio this week, much to the chagrin of the Buffalo Sabres, which had Ryan Miller responding, "I don't think he is Mark Messier." And speaking of the playoffs, almost all teams have clinched, but interestingly enough, the 3rd spot in each conference is still open. In the West, it is 3, 7, and 8. And in the East, it is just 3 and 8 that have playoff spots remaining. Now, Clayton, there has been a lot of discussion and a lot of curiosity. What do you think about the division leaders being guaranteed one of the top 3 spots and home ice advantage in the first round?
Jamie, this is one of my biggest pet peeves about the National Hockey League. It makes absolutely no sense to have a team in the top 3, guaranteeing them home ice advantage simply because of the division they play in. The divisions make no difference in the playoffs. You're not playing teams based on their divisions. Granted, I understand the divisions in the regular season are based on travel costs and reducing travel times, etc., but in the playoffs they make no difference. 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7, and so on. So why does the division leader need to be there? It should be the top 8 teams in each conference that make the playoffs.
Yes, and because you mentioned that travel costs, perhaps we're going to see a realignment because of Winnipeg playing in that Southeast Division. Hopefully we can also see a different playoff structure moving ahead in the future.
Shifting our focus now to the Ontario Hockey League and the Ottawa 67s, who won their playoff series, their first round series against the Belleville Bulls over the past week. They had 2 games over the past week in that series. Game 5 was at home on Friday, March the 30th, where the 67s took a 5-2 win, led by a Shane Prince hat-trick that was capped with the empty net goal, the 5th goal of the game. Sean Monahan and Tyler Toffoli had the other goals for the 67s, and Joseph Cramarosa and Steven Silas were the goal scorers for the Bulls. But Jamie, the story of the game was Dalton Smith catching Daniel Zarkov with his head down in the corner in the Ottawa end in the first period. And after fighting Bulls captain Luke Judson as a result of the hit, Smith was assessed a major penalty and a game misconduct for checking to the head in what appeared to be a perfectly clean hit in a game that was televised nationally on Rogers Sportsnet. The OHL announced on Saturday following that game that he would not be suspended for the hit after reviewing it. Jamie, I'm quite glad they did not suspend Smith for a perfectly clean hockey hit.
I understand you want to protect the players, their safety is first, but I really feel David Branch is pushing it too far. Guys are getting 10-game suspensions. When you look at the other leagues, they're getting 2 or 3 for a similar incident. He is trying to take the physical play out of the game in what is primarily a physical sport that includes fighting, that includes big hits. Yes, you need to take away contact to the head, but now the officials in the league who are working under Branch are taking these hits and kicking guys out of games, ejecting guys for a perfectly clean hit. The replay clearly showed Smith hit the chest of Zarkov. Zarkov, you need to keep your head up. Watch where you're going. It's a physical play. You can't be staring at your skates. I don't care how pretty you look off the ice. Zarkov is notorious for diving. He did it at least 3 times in that game against the 67s. That needs to be taken into account. You see it in the NHL all the time. Guys need to get more diving penalties as well. It goes both ways. The onus also needs to be on the person receiving the hit.
Yeah, certainly some responsibility needs to go to the player receiving the hit as well. In this case, Dalton Smith did not charge Daniel Zarkov. He did not jump at Daniel Zarkov. He did not hit him in the head, so very glad he did not get suspended, but at the same time, really not happy that he was ejected from the game, Jamie. Game 6 for the Ottawa 67s was Monday night at the Yardman Arena in Belleville. Garrett Huey opened the scoring for the Bulls to give them a 1-0 lead in the second period on a scramble in front of Peter Mrazek, and Tyler Toffoli answered with 1:52 remaining in the period to tie the game headed into the third, and just under 6 minutes into the period, Toffoli got his second of the game as a Cody Ceci point shot deflected off of him. It was reviewed as it went off of Toffoli's skate, but it stood and would be the series-winning goal for the 67s, who now move on to take on the Barrie Colts, who defeated the Mississauga St. Michael's Majors. Game 1 of the series goes Friday in Ottawa at the J. Benson Cartage Center, with Game 2 on Sunday in Ottawa. Once again, the 67s have home ice advantage in this series. Quickly looking at the other series heading into the second round, the Eastern Conference, the Niagara Ice Dogs and the Brampton Battalion. Niagara got through a scare in the first round against the Oshawa Generals, while Brampton shut down the Sudbury Wolves quite easily, sweeping them 4-0. Jamie, I'm going to take the Ice Dogs in 7 in this one. How about you?
I think the Ice Dogs in 6. They're just too powerful of a team to lose to the Battalion, who are a good squad, but I just don't think they can beat the power of the Ice Dogs.
Ottawa and Barrie, Jamie, both teams had tight first-round series. The difference in this series could be the 67s get captains Mark Zanetti back, while the Colts are still without Tanner Pearson. I'm taking the 67s in 7 games simply because they have home ice.
I'm going to take the Barrie Colts because I was talking to Mike Tchaikovsky, and he said the coach is playing the D too much, and the D are getting tired. In that series without Zanetti, they were primarily playing 3D. I don't see them playing more than 4, and going 2 deep series, I think Barrie's going to take this series in 6.
Good point. Now looking at the Western Conference, the London Knights and the Saginaw Spirit. London overpowered the Windsor Spitfires in the first round, while Saginaw got a big win over the favored Sarnia Sting. Nonetheless, Jamie, I'm still going to have to take London in 5 games.
I am agreeing with you on that one. London has too many good players with prospects, with already guys that have already been drafted. I don't see them losing more than 1 game to the Spirit in this round.
And much like the Niagara Ice Dogs, the Plymouth Whalers, the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, survived a first-round scare at the hands of the Guelph Storm, but they certainly need Scott Wedgwood to play his best, while Kitchener had a strong offensive series in the first round as they defeated the Owen Sound Attack in 5 games. And Jamie, I'm going to take that Kitchener offense in 7 games.
I'm going to take the Plymouth Whalers in 6 games. I think Scott Wedgwood is going to step up to the plate. The games are getting more important now. Stefan Neeson are going to step up too. I think the Whalers in 6.
One more quick note on the Ontario Hockey League. The OHL Priority Selection Draft goes this weekend, and the Erie Otters are expected to select Connor McDavid, first overall, the Toronto Marlboros forward that was so good in the Ontario Hockey League Showcase Cup over the past month or so. Quickly looking at the Central Canadian Hockey League in their semifinal round, the Pembroke Lumber Kings lead the Nepean Raiders 3-2. Pembroke, Jamie, really leading this series, winning it on depth. Nepean is kind of struggling without their captain, Craig Cowie, who won the regular season scoring title. It will be a tough win in Game 6 for the Nepean Raiders to stay alive at the Pembroke Memorial Center on Friday night. In the other second-round series, the Cornwall Colts have defeated the Hawkesbury Hawks 4-1 after winning Game 5 Thursday night in Cornwall by a score of 3-2. The Colts have now advanced to take on either the Pembroke Lumber Kings or the Nepean Raiders in the CCHL final. Some other international hockey in the city over the past week. Jamie, a game that you covered between Team Canada and Team USA as the final pre-tournament matchup heading into the Women's World Hockey Championships this week.
Yes, the Team Canada women's national team held their selection camp in Ottawa Saturday, March 31st. They took on Team USA at the J. Benson Cartage Center. Shannon Sabatos recorded a shutout in a 1-0 victory that saw Laura Fortino score her first international goal. That this team will compete at the 2012 IIHF Women's World Hockey Championships in Burlington, Vermont, and next year in Ottawa for the 2013 World Championships, 1 year away from now.
Quickly looking at our regular segments, Jamie has our name of the week.
We're looking at the ECHL, a defenseman wearing number 23 for the Colorado Eagles, a veteran of 1978 birthday. This year, 72 games played, 20 goals, 42 assists, hailing from Calgary, Alberta. Our name of the week is Aaron Schneekloth.
Great name there in the East Coast Hockey League, Jamie. Quickly moving along to our second segment, what happened there? And this week we will not look at a bust, but at a success story in Ryan Callahan of the New York Rangers, who was drafted 127th overall in the 4th round in 2004. He's now the captain of the Rangers. Jamie has, after spending his entire career in the Rangers system, nice to see somebody succeed, and Ryan Callahan has a chance to win a Stanley Cup this year as the Rangers have locked up first place in the Eastern Conference.
Yes, it's a great success story, going from a lower pick and coming up and becoming the captain of now the Eastern Conference team and a Stanley Cup contender, and his brother is in the Red Wings system, so there is potential to see a double success story in the Callahan family.
Our final segment is the You're Off the Case moment of the week, and it took no debate to figure this one out. Peter Budaj of the Montreal Canadiens earned this one on Wednesday night after firing a pass from the corner directly in front of the net, put it directly on Vincent Lecavalier's stick for the easiest goal Lecavalier has ever scored in his career at the Bell Center on Wednesday night. This, Jamie, was quite simply the story of the Habs season.
Yes, that was a great pass by Peter Budaj, tape to tape, setting up Vinny Lecavalier. That was probably the best pass I've ever seen Peter Budaj make, setting up a goal, recording an assist, but not actually because it was scored by the other team. And Peter Budaj, just like Sergei Bobrovsky, you're off the case. Anyway, folks, that's all the time we have for this week. We'll be coming back to you at the end of the weekend with our Stanley Cup Playoffs preview show.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody, to episode 1.13 of You're Off the Case, the Ottawa Hockey Podcast. For Jamie Shinkuski, I'm Clayton Johns on this day, April the 5th, 2012.